Um, this is another video. Actually, it's part 2 of part 1 on the Heiken Ashi setup. Since I did the first one, I've changed a few things based on the strategy that I trade with that kind of upped my winning percentage. So I'm going to make this video part 2. Just like part 1, I'm going to cut the grid off by hitting Control G as in George on my keyboard. And as you can see, it cuts the grid on and off. Leave that off. I'm going to remove these candles because I don't like these candles, and I'm not actually going to use the Heiken Ashi candles. I'm going to use a slightly different set of candles. But everything you see me checking here by default is what I use. So line chart, show object descriptions, everything is default. So make note of that. Change it if you want to. Colors, bar up, none. Bar down, none. Bull candle, none. Bear candle, none. Line graph, black. And I'm going to change the grid to green. And I'm going to leave the ask line red. Basically, you're going to come up with a blank chart. Only thing you have on there is the ask line and the bid line. So I'm going to go to my navigator menu, and I'm going to use these candles, trend candles. They're sort of like Heiken Ashi candles, except for to me, they're a combination of Heiken Ashi candles and the regular candles. Deep pink, I'm going to change it to red. The gold, I'm going to change it to none. Allow DLL imports, and OK. So basically that's what those candles look like. Similar to the Heiken Ashi candles, but look like the regular candles as well. Next, I'm going to add a moving average. In the last video I did, I used a 14 and a 50. I've changed that from a 14 and a 50 to a 25 and a 9. So, moving average. If you don't see it here, when you click this little box here, the indicators list, if you don't see it at the top, just go down to trend, moving average, and I already have 25 selected. It's simple, not exponential. Apply to close, and I chose the color blue. You can choose whatever color you want. And the line thickness is the second line thickness from the top. Put that on there. I'm going to do this again, moving average, and I use a 9 moving average. Simple, close, and I use the color white. Okay. Then I add a MACD. I don't add the regular MACD from the navigator list here. Actually, I do. I just don't add it. I don't add this MACD. I go up to the top and go to oscillators and use this MACD because I'm going to add it twice basically. So the first MACD, the main color is red, the signal color is white. Again, these are my preferential colors. You can use whatever color you want. But for the parameters, the fast EMA is a 5, the slow EMA is a 15, and the MACD SMA is a 1. Apply to close, and OK. And that's what that looks like. I'm going to scale this down just a little bit. The second MACD, when you drag it to the chart, you want to drag it to the bottom of the chart where the first MACD is. And this MACD colors, the only thing that I change is the main color, and I change it to green. Everything else by default stays the same. I use the second line width from the top on both of them. And for the parameters on this one, it's default parameters. So it's 12 for the fast EMA. For the slow EMA, it's 26. And for the MACD SMA is 1. And as you can see, they overlay each other. I'll explain this a little bit in just a second. Next, I'm going to put a yellow dash line at the 0 point, at the 0 cross point for the MACD. You just want to make sure it's set exactly to 0. I had a 2 in there. I just took it out and put 0.00000. And it has a little square right here. That means it's not locked into place. So if I hit a delete key, it'll accidentally delete it, but I don't want to do that. So if you just double click on it, it locks it into place by taking that square off. Now, basically the way I trade this strategy, I trade it on the 4-hour or the daily, maybe the hour, but I try to stay away from the hour and the lower time frames. I'm going to change the thickness on these candles just a little bit. You can leave them at 3, but just so that they're a little bit more legible, I'm going to change them to 2, and that way you can kind of see what's going on. The way I trade this is when this white 9 moving average crosses this blue 25 moving average, that signifies a sell to me. Now, I don't just get in because of the cross. I look at a couple of things for confirmation, to confirm that I am going to take the sell and confirm that it is a sell, or to confirm that I am going to take the buy and confirm that it is a buy. So, for example, you can see right here at this point, right here, that this white 9 moving average started to cross up. As soon as it crossed this blue 25 moving average, basically the candle closed on it opened and closed on the other side of that. So as soon as it closed, I would have gotten in on this candle here and just rode it up, and not necessarily knowing where I would have gotten out, I would have kept riding it. But because this green candle here engulfed this next green candle here, and this white 9 moving average started to curve down, I would have gotten out. So technically, if I'd have gotten in right here on this second green candle and rolled this all the way up and gotten out maybe about right there, as you can see, that's 91 pips. Then I would have waited, because even though the white 9 moving average is starting to curl down, it hadn't crossed the blue 25 yet, but as soon as it did, I would have gotten in roughly right here on this candle. So as soon as I got in on that candle, rode it down and stayed in the trade, I wouldn't have gotten out at this point. I would have stayed in it, but as you can see, that's 118 pips. But my confirmations are the fact that the white 9 moving average has crossed below the 25. I got a candle right here that opened and closed below both moving averages. Also, if you look right here at these MACDs, both of these MACD lines, white lines, are pointed down, and both MACD histograms have closed below the 0 moving average. So you think about it, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 confirmations to take that sell trade. And basically that's how I trade it. The only thing about this strategy is if you trade it on the 4-hour or daily, or even the hour, which I don't really trade on the hour that much, but I'm just saying hypothetically, if you do trade it on the hour, mainly the 4-hour and the daily, there's a lot of waiting involved, especially on the daily. On the 4-hour, it's quite a bit of waiting on the 4-hour too, considering the fact that each candle on the 4-hour represents 4 hours. So this candle right here, for example, I have to wait another 4 hours before I see the next candle come up to the right of it. So each candle, each one of these candles, individual candles that open and close, is 4 hours. So imagine, again, if you got in right here and rode this all the way down to here, and it's still going down, I feel like it'll probably come to about right here, because that's some major support. Tapped it 3 times, 1, 2, 3. So I feel like it'll come back and test it again. If it does, and I was in the trade, I would probably hold it until this cross happened on the 9 moving average to cross the blue, and these MACD histograms started pointing up as if they were going back here to cross the 0 point. But overall, the strategy, in my opinion, works, and it works better with these candles, the trend candles, than it does the Heiken Asahi candles. Because even with the Heiken Asahi candles, if it's going up and the Heiken Asahi candle is white and it pulls back, you may see that white pull back in here, and then it'll continue up, which it could possibly fake you out. But that's what I like about using these candles and not using the stochastics indicator and the RSI, because you get faked out. These settings right here are custom settings. I actually found them on a video on YouTube, and I tested and back tested this strategy, and it works really, really, really well. So that's what I've stuck with. But if you have any questions on where to get the candles and anything at, you can search for those online. They're called trend candles, and I'll show you right here what the name of them are again. Trend candlesticks. That's the name of them. So if you have to search for them online, that's the name you want to search under, trend candlesticks. Something else I like to use that I have in my arsenal is this time to next candle indicator. I can put it on the chart, and basically I don't have to change anything except for allow DLL inputs, and everything else stays the same by default, and hit OK. It'll let you know how much time you have left on the candle before the next candle comes up. It'll start to count down. As you can see, it's counting down now. So when the next candle comes up, it'll start at 4 hours if you're on the 4-hour chart. If you're on the daily, it'll start, at the daily time. If you're on the hour, it'll start at the hour time. But I like using that little indicator because it lets me know the countdown based on how much time I have left before the next candle comes up. Another indicator I like using that you can download from the marketplace, it's free, is the Info Plus indicator. I'm going to add that to this chart too. Allow DLL imports, and on the inputs, these are the custom inputs I use. I turn this off. I change this to 0.01. Leave that black. Medium blue, I change it to Dodger. Medium blue, Dodger. For the symbol color, I like the symbol color to be white. For the display statistics, I turn that off. For the open sessions, I turn that off. For the positive pips color, I change that to green. And for the high of the day and the low of the day, I change it to yellow. The spreads, I leave them both at red. And so basically when you put this on here, it explains to you if you're in any positions and you're positive or negative, they'll show up here. And if they're positive, they're green. If they're negative, they're red. But it lets you know the time frame you own, as you can see here. It lets you know what the spread is and the time of day and the high of the day and the low of the day. And it has the date, time, and month down here. But that time is kind of off sometimes, so I rarely use it. That's why I like this time of the day indicator better, and I just overlay it on there. But you can find this Info Plus indicator in the marketplace. On your MetaTrader 4 platform. It's free, so you can download it there. At any rate, that's all for this video right now. I hope this helps somebody. If you have any questions, just give me a shout out on the channel here. Thank you. Everybody have a blessed day.